Good morning, everyone. I hope you can hear me loud and clear. Thank you so much for coming. For those I haven't seen before this time, that I'm just saying for the first time this year, I want to say Happy New Year to you. So it's another wonderful year that we are believing God for great things as parents. So thank you for coming on this Saturday morning. We just like to start straight away. We don't usually do any other time apart from the time that we put on the program to start. We know different people will still be joining us, which is fine, which is all right. But then because people are here and we respect people's time as well, we don't want to just keep people waiting. So thank you very much for joining. I'm welcoming you to this particular edition of Parenting with God seminar. So as we're coming in, I would just like, if it's possible, to engage with us by letting us know in the chat where you are joining us from. You can just write whether you're joining. Well, I'm in Newcastle upon Tyne, so you might be joining from London, from Lagos, from even outside these two time zones. So please just put in the chat where you're joining from. That would be great. And also, could you kindly use your real name, please? We would like you to use your real name. And then please, if you are not speaking, also it's great to mute yourself so that we can just make sure that there's no interactions in the meeting and then the meeting is going on smoothly. So that's it. So thank you for joining again. Please just put where you're joining from in the chat room. We're kicking off straight away. We're not going to have any delay. And we're going to, just kick off with an opening prayer. I didn't say who I am. My name is Elizabeth Ayigbayo. I'm the convener of Parenting with God seminar, and I will just be starting us off in prayer. Father, in the name of Jesus, we thank you for this opportunity to gather together as parents to come to learn, sharing with one another and learning even as your spirit leads and guides us, how better to parent and raise our children, the children that you have committed to us. Lord, we pray that in all that we do today, that you guide us and you lead us, that we leave this platform this morning empowered and being able to say that this has been value added. In Jesus' mighty name we pray. Amen. Amen.
Okay. Welcome everyone. I just had add-on to the house rose that Auntie has started. So welcome everyone, and being that considering this is the first one that we have, it's a very happy new year. Be a little bit late, but happy new year to everyone, and it's really good to see some familiar faces and some new ones joining, and I know that some additional ones will be coming in as we go along. So just to add on to the house rose that was mentioned earlier on, so I mean, first of all, it's a great platform, not just for parents, as we're praying about, but also for aspiring ones that are considered, and if there's a word for expert, something new. So it's all like it's a great platform from wherever range of the spectrum that we are in terms of a parenting, and the aim of the of this platform is to help us to be that parent after God's heart. So just some quick house rules. Please use your real name, as Anthony mentioned. Of course, your first name would suffice. Doesn't have to be your first and second. Kindly mute yourself if you're not speaking. And also the chat box, it will always be open up for questions, and so you can pop that in the comment section at any point during the talk, and we can collate that towards the end, because we've got two different speakers as well. We can collect that at each point to then get that read out on your behalf, or if you like to also do it yourself, that's absolutely fine. If you want your questions to be anonymous, you can send it to myself or to Adeline. So Adeline's on there as well. So myself or Adeline will be happy to receive that on behalf of you and then read it as well. Also, do feel free to use the reaction or the emoji buttons as well during the talk. I want to be as virtually interactive as possible. And the last thing, we just encourage you to take part in today's session. And if you do have any questions, again, like I said, there'll be opportunity to address those questions. Thank you. So I'll pass it now to Andy for the kind of to give us an overview of what this platform is all about and what Parenting for God is all about for any new joiners that we have.
Thank you so much, Dari, for that, for giving us a little bit more about how to make today run smoothly. So I'd introduced myself earlier, and I mentioned that I'm the convener of this Parenting with God seminars, but I'll just, in a few minutes, just tell us a little bit more about Parenting with God seminar. So it is actually a forum where Christian parents come together for the purpose of discussing, learning together on how to empower or to be empowered and to be equipped in raising godly and successful children. So this started about 4 years ago, actually, sometime during the lockdown. And all our meetings up to date have been virtual. So we have quarterly seminars, and then we have an annual conference in July. So we have seminars in January, in April, and then conference in July, and then we have another seminar in October. So the purpose is really to say, as Christian parents, we don't have to choose either or. Sometimes you see adults who in the society who are godly, but they don't seem to be that much relevant. And then you sometimes see successful people who are also not godly, but we know that we don't have to choose either or. We can actually have both. And our anchor scriptures, for this is found in Malachi 2:15, where the Bible says that God wants it, that the purpose of marriage is to raise godly seed. And also in Psalm 112 verse 2, which says that the children of the righteous, they will be mighty in the land. So those really are our anchor scriptures to just help us to be certain of the fact that desiring godly and successful children and being able to raise them is actually a possibility in God. And over the course of the years, we've had different people coming on the platform to talk about different things. We have a YouTube channel just under the name Elizabeth Ayigbayo, where all the previous seminars are recorded. And we really talk about different things that can help you to be a godly or a successful parent. So we talk about education, how you can support your children. We talk about how you can teach even your children and raise them up in a godly manner. So practical things that you can do to hand your faith to your children. The last one we had in October actually was the first part of what we're doing today. So the seminar today is talking about rethinking digital use in the home. So the part one was in October, and that really was an opportunity for parents to understand how the use of social impacts, social media or device can impact their parenting. So our speaker, Dr. Vivian, talked about the positives of social media and then also the negatives, and how we could regulate ourselves as Christian parents and how we can also be that good example for our children. Well, the children that we're raising now, they have been described as digital natives. So we live in the digital world. So if you had anyone that was born after 1997 is technically a digital native, and it's because they were born in the world of the websites where there's the internet all over the world. And I think even so those are Gen Z and Gen Alpha. The Gen Alpha, they said they actually didn't come to a world without an iPhone. So you can say that these days a 2-year-old feels very, very comfortable using an iPhone. So that's really quite important that we as parents who are not digital natives, learn how to help them chart their course right. So today we have two speakers again. Two sessions, and we have three amazing speakers. So we're going to have Dr. Vivian come on again shortly, and she's going to now talk to us about the child side of things. So what are the effects of the use of digital device on our children? And she would really help us to understand what goes on beyond you just, handing over a device to a child, whether it's a tablet, whether it's a phone, whatever gadget it is. And then after that, just to remind us that, look, everything that exists has positives, has negatives, and where digital or where the use of digital devices are concerned, is not all doom and gloom. Now in the world, there's something called esports. I don't know how many parents have heard about it or have engaged or tried to understand it, but really it's short for electronic sports. What does that mean? Probably maybe some of you have never heard about it, but it's something that is really big in the world today. And we've got the gentlemen Chijoke and OJ, from an esports company coming to talk to us parents about how we can harness the power of this to really help our children, so that we are not parenting from an ignorant place. We're actually parenting from an empowered place. So thank you so much for coming on today. There is a lot to learn, so please be ready to unlearn, be ready to relearn, be ready to, adopt a learning mindset, because that is so essential for the parents of today. I will not take your time anymore, but thank you so much for coming. I believe that by the grace of God, when this session is over, you'll be able to say, yes, value has been added to you. So whether you're a parent or you're a guardian, or, you would have learned something to equip you. So I'm going to be handing over to Dola shortly, who would help to read out the bio of our first speaker and then introduce her. So Dola, it's over to you. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
You unmuted and muted yourself again.
No, I think I automatically get muted. Yeah, okay. So I'm just going to very quickly introduce Dr. Vivian. So Dr. Vivian is a firm believer, preacher, and executor of parenting as the root of all sustainable development. A doctor of optometry and psychologist by training, Vivian's mission transcends her role as a certified trauma therapist, a professional parents coach, a speaker, and an author. She's the founder of the convener of Parents Summit Africa, a co-creator of the One Parenting Plan Away experience, and the lead coach of the Conscious Parents community, with over 7,000 parents within that community. Vivian has graced so many stages and spoken ceaselessly on parenting and related topics. She has had multiple features on reputable media platforms like Channels Television in Nigeria, Christian Broadcasting Network, the CBN, British Broadcasting Corporation News, Igbo, African Independent Television, Kaftan TV, Nigeria Info FM, Cool FM, just to mention a few. Her work has also been featured on the national daily newspapers like The Guardian newspaper, Leadership newspaper, and Daily Trust. She's a feature columnist on The Guardian newspaper parenting column. For Vivian Okoye, investing in conscious parenting is a key to becoming better humans who change the world. Her mantra is, if we can get it right with the family, then we can get it right with the society. As such, Vivian is committed to sustainable development in Africa through parenting education. And she likes to refer to herself as the conscious parent and nation builder. She's happily married to a very supportive husband, and together they're raising 2 children. So I'm just going to leave it there, and I will go straight to give the stage to Vivian. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Good morning, everybody. Thank you for having me. Thank you, Auntie Joke. Thank you for having me. Thank you for creating this platform. and welcome. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on where you're joining us from. And I'm super excited for this conversation, not just the part one of the conversation. I'm also excited for the part two of the conversation, like, having our tech brosses, because technology has become a part of our world, and there's so much to learn. It's just like as you're blinking, something new is coming. We're just here and AI is just taking over, and then I'm hearing about esports. There's so much to learn, and someone who believes in operating from a place of knowledge, because in as much as we want to protect our children, you also want to know how our children can benefit from this. So this is really a wholesome conversation. So yeah, I'm speaking about the psychosocial effect of social media use and gaming, right? And the introduction Auntie Joke did actually just kind of like set me up, made the work easier. Like I have said, technology has come to stay. It is a part of our lives, and it almost feels like you cannot do anything. I mean, like in a day, there are some days I would want to do like a phone fast, but just 1 hour into it, you realize that you need to check your phone for something. I mean, your timing is on your phone, your calendar is on your phone, your notes is on your phone, your reminders are on your phone, and everything. So it has become part of.
Vivian, you're on mute now.
Sorry.
I don't know what happened. Okay, it's back. Yeah.
All right. Can you hear me now? Hello?
Yes, I can hear you now. Yes.
Yeah. So I was saying that just like every other thing, right? There is nothing that is really completely bad or completely good. It all depends on. It all depends. I'm echoing. I don't know. Is that from my end? Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you now. It's stopped echoing.
All right. So it all depends on how we use it, how we moderate it, and especially speaking for our children, right? There has been a spike in how we are engaging with technology, how we are engaging with social media, especially during the COVID. Everything just went, because people were locked in, everything dependent on technology. So the use and the attitude and the habits around social media and technology really experienced a massive spike, especially for children. And it went extreme for some people because it was not moderated, right? And this is why this conversation is important. And technology is not all bad. There are people who approach technology as if it is bad. There are people who look at technology and feel like, okay, I cannot let my children into this world. And then you have the other extreme who allow children to use it without guidance. Technology is positive. Schools use it. It's used for education. I mean, I just finished my master's degree program, and sometimes when I have to do work, I always often wondered how people who did it when there was no technology and a lot of tools managed, right? So technology has opened many doors in education, offered us many tools to make life easier. Technology has opened up doors for people to actually create wealth. I mean, it is a leveler. I mean, technology is one of the things that can offer a nobody an opportunity to actually become a multi-millionaire or billionaire, right? You have content creators who come out of nothing and they just blow up just by creating content. You have people who create an app or something and they just blow up. So technology gives that opportunity to people who otherwise wouldn't have made it in life or wouldn't have amassed such amount of wealth to actually create wealth and also bring innovation into the world. But then we cannot say that because this is these opportunities are there and then just throw our children into that world. For example, we cannot say, yeah, because we are seeing that content creators are making money and then we just throw our children into that world of technology without guidance. Just like you cannot just wake up and send your child to a new country without guidance, or you cannot wake up and send your 10-year-old into the city without guidance. That's how I look at it, because technology, as much as we look at it as if it's just a device, it is also a real world with real people, everybody in there doing their own thing with different motives, right? Just as we have our device and we're here, we're engaging with people, most people we do not know, and we cannot tell what their motives are. So imagine what it is for you who is an adult, right? Imagine all the pressures that you face when you go out into that world of social media, into that world, where you're seeing different people sharing different information, absorbing all of that information, and how these informations are bombarding you every day with all the emotions and all the thoughts that come with it. Then imagine a child who doesn't have the capacity to actually, or the logic to filter information, or the capacity to think through some of the informations that they are seeing, or children who just take everything as at face value, right? So that is like sending your child into the world for the wolves to devour them, or for information to just swallow them. So it's really, really important that we pay attention to how our children, engage social media. And we're going to get to that by the end of this conversation, what we are going to put in place, the conversations we need to have with our children, the measures that we need to put in place as a family, as parents, to ensure that our children are using technology in a beneficial way, that technology is working for them and not working against them. But before we get to that, let's do a little bit of backtrack. I know that we're talking about social media and gaming, which is usually for maybe older children. Of course, the age range for these things, I mean, when I was younger, it was maybe when you're 18 that you'll be on social media. But now I see 10-year-olds, 9-year-olds, 7-year-olds on social media, even though by law or by standard, some of those social media companies say the age range is 13 and stuff like that. There are many parents who allow their children to go on their younger, or children who go behind their parents' back to get on their younger. So let's do a little bit of backtrack of what, how much screen time that children should really have, especially for the benefit of parents who are here and who have younger children. And why I am doing this backtrack is because I believe that whatever would happen later on in life is highly connected to how they started, right? Because our children now are born into this technology. If you do not pay attention, they just grow into it. They start using it without you even realizing how much they are consuming. And then later on in life, if you are trying to regulate, or trying to help them use it properly, it might be more difficult if they started too much, if they started too early to start use to have excessive use of technology, right? So according to the World Health Organization, right, the recommended screen time for children 1 year and below are not supposed to have screen time. I don't know if we know that, right? Because I have seen a lot of households where tablets and phones are used to keep children to sit still, to eat their food or stuff like that. That is actually not recommended. In case someone here is, exposing their children to devices and to media at that early, it has really negative impacts. And then children from 5 years old and below are not supposed to have more than 1 hour of screen time in a day, right? This is World Health Organization recommended screen time, right? Did anybody know this before now? Let me know in the chat. Many places where I go to and speak about this, there are a lot of people who say, oh, I never heard that, I never knew that. So that means that, all right, Gloria, thank you. That means that your child who is 5 years or less is not supposed to have more than 1 hour of screen time in a day, right? Is it only Gloria that knew about this? So if they start too early, it can have really diverse effects, and really Ene says she didn't know, all right, and I believe there are many people like Ene who didn't know, because I mean, in many households you have 3-year-olds who are on cartoons, who are on TV all day round. I mean, a lot of parents are working, so technology is like the second nanny and the second babysitter. A lot of parents, want to escape, and they just engage their children with technology. A lot of parents do not really know how to engage children physically, or they get overwhelmed when children are, demanding things. And there's that thing of children saying, I'm bored, I'm bored, I'm bored. And the easy way out is to just give them technology, without realizing that allowing them get bored is actually helping them develop their creativity, right? Okay. All right, I've been told I have 25 minutes, so I have to rush, right? So let's look at some of the negative impacts of this, technology use, excessive use on our children, right? So you have the social emotional development. So when you allow your children to use screen excessively, without proper guidance, there is a high tendency that they will have it will affect their social emotional development, because children need human interaction to develop their social skills. They need to read body language, they need to see facial expression and understand what they mean. But when they're stuck and they're in that device without having enough human interaction, it might affect them. It affects their cognitive development, and cognitive development just means the ability to think and process information, because most of these informations are done for you. It doesn't let you think. The entertainment is there, you're just consuming and consuming and consuming. It doesn't give them enough ability to think, to process information, and to think about, how, those information are coming, or actually give it a thought and develop their thinking, right? It can also affect sleep cycle, because, so much screen and the light from the screen affects the sleep hormone. So it can affect the sleep cycle. It also affects impulse control, ability to control your impulse, ability to regulate your impulse, because at the swipe of a screen, everything comes, everything is just moving fast. So this is why you see children who do not have that patience, right? They're just, everything is just quick. So it really affects that, right? So, and out of this thing overall, the what we can take out of this is that starting our children on technology, especially if it is excessive at a young age, affects the brain development. Thinking is like the exercise of the brain, just the way you go to gym and you're working on your muscles and you're exercising them and you're building those muscles. That is the way that, thinking also helps you develop the executive brain, the upper part of the brain. And if we're not exposing our children to opportunities that help them think, that help them, use their brain to process information, to ask questions, to ask, how does this thing work, then we're not helping their brain growth, right? If we come to older children, which is like the focus of this conversation, there's also, now coming down to social media, and not just, the cartoons and the TVs and all of that, coming down to the use of social media and the use of gaming platforms and stuff like that. I really don't know so much about about gaming platforms, right? I'm happy that there are people who would pay more attention to that. But these also have like some impact on our children that might not be beneficial for them. One major one is social comparison, right? We have a lot of children now who are prone to anxiety, who are prone to depression. Aside brain aspect of it, we have, that aspect of it where children come on social media and they see other children putting up these images of themselves and what they have done. It happens to even adults, where you come on social media and it feels like everybody is going ahead of you, your classmates, your family members, your circle, they're doing amazing things and you're not doing that. You now start to compare yourself, and that can lead to, depression, especially, if for children who don't have that capacity to process information and to realize that some of the things that are out there may not be as they are, right? Then you also have children who might be exposed to cyberbullying, right? You have instances where children have shared pictures of themselves and then horrible comments, not many children are able to handle that, or children who innocently share, something about themselves or something about what they have done, and then horrible comments, unfiltered comments, bullying in their comment section, and, that is too much for a child to handle. Then you have grooming, right? In fact, we are only in January, and I have had many cases of, on my table around grooming, where children are, groomed through different platforms. Like I said, the virtual world is a real world, and there are people on there who have different motives. So children might be on there, maybe playing games or being on social media and talking to someone who claims to be their age mate, or who claims to who is engaging them as a friend, but this person is actually an adult, and can groom the children to like them, and then start making them send them nude pictures and stuff like that, sex tapes and stuff like that, and then in turn they start to blackmail them, and the cycle is just horrible. It's just horrible. I have had 2 cases in this January that for children 14, 13 years old who have been groomed, and now their groomers are kind of like manipulating them because of the content they have on them. So that's something we don't want our children to be exposed to. Then there's exposure to harmful content like pornography and stuff like that. And then we can't also forget the fact that we can get addicted to, social media is like constant entertainment, is like a barrage of information. And once all of us, I myself, I feel like all of us are addicted to the phone. You can count how many times in a day you just reach for your phone without knowing what you're reaching for it for. Like on impulse, your brain, your hand, is going to your phone. You don't even know what you're going there to do. It's not like there's anything you're going there to do. That is because we have depended on it. And there are people who just use it as escape, just like the way drugs and alcohol, operates on the brain, where maybe you feel overwhelmed and you feel like, okay, I need to take drugs to calm myself down. That is what phone and social media does for a lot of people, where maybe there's a problem you need to solve, but you're not getting answers. Instead of sitting still, thinking through your problem and finding a solution and problem solving, you use social media as escape. You just go there, you listen to barrage of comedies, and you realize that, okay, let's come back to the real world and let's come and face this problem squarely, and before you know it, you're back there. So it's just like a vicious cycle of addiction, right? And then why have I shared all of these things? These things, I do not share it to instill fear. These things are real things that are happening. By the nature of the work that I do, we see these things, we hear these things come to us every day, and these are real things happening. That it hasn't happened to you doesn't mean that it doesn't happen, right? And that it hasn't happened to you is a good thing, so that you have this information, and not to operate from a place of fear, but then to use this information to develop your own strategy and your own framework to protect yourself and to protect your children, so that they don't fall into, these traps, right? Social media has come to stay. It's not going anywhere. If you have protected your child up until this time, kudos, but one day they're going to get on these platforms, they're going to stumble on it, they're going to stumble on it on their friends' devices, they're going to use it themselves. So what do you do as a parent, right? One of the frameworks that I share with parents is that number one thing that you want to do as a parent is that before you send your child into the world, before you send your child to drive, you hello, are you speaking to me?
No, everything's okay.
All right. So before you send your child to drive, you send them to driving school and they go through their driving lessons and get their license before they start driving. Before you send your child to uni, they go to primary school, secondary school, before they start going to uni. The same thing, before you send your child into the virtual world, you must do it. You must have a conversation. You must be sure that you have equipped them, that you have had enough conversation as a guide, right? And that conversation is not even one-off, it's an ongoing conversation. But before you even send them into that world, there should be a baseline conversation and baseline level of knowledge. Don't assume that because your child is 15 years, your child is 13 years, that they know how to use social media and that they know the implications or the consequences of their engagement on these platforms. So you want to educate them on what technology is, what the pros and cons is, on the possible things that can happen, right? We want to educate them on cyberbullying, that the fact that they're sharing something, whether good or bad, doesn't mean that there will not be people that will hate them. So when somebody bullies you, how do you react? I know of an American president, I can't remember which particular one, I read it somewhere, that before he became a president, one of the things they did for his daughter was to put her through like bullying. Like, they would actually put her and people would say horrible things to her, tell her your father is stupid, your father is wicked, and all of this and all of that. People would tell her horrible things about her parents and stuff like that. That was the grooming that they did for their child before they got into the White House, because they knew what to expect when they got into the White House. They knew that the people will come for them, people will come for their children, and they went ahead of time to actually make their child know that, oh, we're going to the White House. It's not all rosy, right? So there will be people who will say stupid things to you. So how do you respond? You play those scenarios out and let them know to expect and see these things when these things happen. You let them know about, people, possible predators out there, and when people are telling you things and telling to share content, what not to share, right? You will have to have a conversation around that. Also, you want to have a conversation around them not using people's phone. Most of the instances of exposure to pornography that I have had on my table around young children who were exposed to pornography did not just happen by children going to search pornographic content online. It happened because children stumbled on an adult's phone in their house or in their families and then stumbled on those things. It could be a help's phone. For some instance, it was a visiting family member, children, oh, uncle, let me use your phone. And then you don't know what those people have on their phone. So you want to have this conversation with your children around, not using other people's phone, not having access to other people's phone, because they can actually stumble on things, that are not acceptable, right? And another thing we want to teach our children when they approach, when they start to engage with social media and start to engage with gaming and all of that, is not to just have a consumer's mindset around these things, right? So most people come on social media and they just want to consume. You're consuming what other people are creating. You're just there for entertainment and stuff like that. You want to teach your children that social media or all these platforms are not just for entertainment. You want to start to make them to think like creators. What can I create? I have the capacity to create something that other people can also consume. What this does is that they are now coming in not just to just scroll away. They are coming in as creators. They can create their own stuff, and it's engaging them productively. It's engaging their mind productively, because they're engaging because with that thought at the back of their mind of, what can I create? How do I contribute? How do I, get my own stuff out on this platform, right? So you have to have that conversation with them. And as a family, you want to have a contract, right? What I call a family technology use contract, right? So it sounds, when I talk about this, people give me that look of, it's not that deep. But man, it's that deep. It is actually really that deep, right? Because how your children engage with these devices and this platform can make or mar them. When you look at the long-term effects, you will realize that it is that deep. This thing can destroy your child's brain. This thing can make your child lose focus. This thing can make your child become an addict. So it is actually that deep, right? So you need to sit down as a family and have a contract, look through, right? How do you want your children to engage? How old are they? Depending on how old they are. How old are they? How many hours of, device screen time are we having in a day or in a week, right? Depending on their age, right? So it doesn't matter. Like when I speak to parents about this, one of the things they say to me is, oh, but my children like to create, they're into tech and all of that. So how do they like to work on their devices? They're using it to create something. But I always say, if you have 2 hours in a day or 2 hours in a week for your screen time use, then that even works for you. If your child is engaging in something productive, then they fit in whatever they want to do in those time, and they're able to focus on that. They will not be distracted because they know I have 2 hours in a day and I have to create this my game or this my app and stuff. They fit it into that time. They won't be distracted by all the notifications that will be popping up on their device while they're working, right? So you want to have that conversation. How many hours of screen time do we get in a day? And another thing is, what is the consequences for not, aligning to the contract that we have developed, right? Because that is where people actually also struggle. You talk about all the things you want to do, and then there is no consequence. And when your children realize that there is no consequence, then it doesn't really make any sense, right? So what is the consequence? For example, my children I have 9 and 6, right? So they only use their devices weekend. And what it means is that if you don't turn it in, you're supposed to turn it in by 4 p.m. on Sunday. If you don't turn it in on 4 p.m. on Sunday, then you lose some hours the next weekend. And they already know, because I'm going to do it. It's discomforting sometimes because you're like, okay, that weekend when they're using their device, you can do other things and nobody's running around your head. But we will all go through the discomfort so that they learn the lesson that the next time when it's 4 p.m., they're turning in their device. So you want to come up with the consequence for when the contract is not followed, and then you also want to follow through with the consequences, regardless of how discomforting it is. You want to follow through with that consequences when it is not followed through. So very, very important. Before we send our children into these spaces, have a conversation with them and educate them. Make sure they are well informed of all the many things that can happen, and then also make sure that you're equipping them to approach these platforms with a creator's mindset, not just a consumer's mindset, and then have a contract, a well-rounded contract. Think it through. Your contract doesn't have to be one-off. You can keep on adding as you're seeing things, as you're, experiencing things, as things are happening. And there's an ongoing conversation, because most times now, it doesn't mean that when you do these things, your children will just adapt and buy into them, especially if you have older kids. They will challenge you. Oh, my friend is doing this, my friend does that, and my friend does that. So you will have those challenges, but you also look for real life scenarios that you can use to show them that this thing I'm doing is for you, right? See, for example, a child killed themselves, maybe as a result of cyberbullying. You bring that conversation to your dining table to say, look at what happened. What do you think happened? This child couldn't handle this situation. Or you see a child who is killed because a predator led them to somewhere. Bring that conversation to your dining table. Show them it's real life. You're not making it up. It's not fiction. This is what I'm trying to protect you from. These things are happening in the real world. And, you just keep engaging them and keep building that conversation. There are devices that you can use to monitor screen time and stuff like that, in as much as that is okay. But I don't feel like it is enough, because at some point they will also find counter apps that can unlock whatever you have locked. I feel like building the trust, and having that conversation is more sustainable than actually like monitoring them and having that device, right? Then you can also have open home policy where, people are not just using their devices, everybody's locked in their room and lost in their devices and stuff like that. You can have open home policy, especially when they are younger, schoolwork and stuff like that. Buy a desktop and keep it in an open space where they can do their work and everybody can walk past and see what they're doing. And yeah, so I think I've been told that it is time for Q&A.
Yeah, thank you so much for that. And honestly, wish you could continue, because you were dropping some real gems, and truly it is that deep when it comes to a lot of what you were saying. So thank you. So yeah, we do have one question that's come through on the in the chat. And the question was from Amos, and he says, please, what is the ideal screen time for children between the ages of 6 and 9 years?
So ages of 6 and 9 years old, there was nothing really fixed, but they said ideally for 5 and below 1 hour, for 6 and above, or 6 to 10, ideally 2 hours a day, right? So it all depends on you as a parent. I think that 2 hours a day is actually okay for any child before they maybe start using phone independently, right? Then another question that comes is, at what age should I give my child a phone, an independent phone, for them to use? I don't have a personal answer to that, because I say it's a value-based decision for you, right? But the way I approach it is from a brain science perspective, right? So brain science says your child has not fully developed fully developed their executive function, executive brain, or their prefrontal cortex before the age of 18, right? So that means that before that age, your child doesn't really have the capacity to think through actions and consequences and through decision making, right? So that's how I look at it. So it all depends on you, but what I would say is that before you actually give a child a device or send them into that space independently, you want to really do your groundwork very, very, very well. Don't just assume that they know, or they can tell, or that they know what they're having in their hands. So have that conversation, put in the framework that you need to protect them from what's out there.
Yeah, thank you. We do have a question. I'll just mute Chrissy. We do have a question from Agnes and Abiola, but also we have James Abiri, who's put his hand up. So we'll take the questions very, very fast, because we've got 2 more minutes to answer these questions. Agnes's question is, what's the ideal screen time for a 16 and 18-year-old? And Abiola, what's the ideal for a 12-year-old?
Yeah, it's 16 for some 16 years, 18 years old, they're already using phones independently. So they are probably maybe out of secondary school, using their phone for their maps, for their text and all of that. So you can't really say, oh, you're using your phone for 2 hours, right? For that, they're almost, an 18-year-old is an adult, right? But what you can do is to have a time where, if they're still living in your home, to have a time where they log off, right? And then to do this background work like, you know, to actually let them know what to use their phone for and what not to use their phone for, and how to protect themselves, right? So for an 18-year-old, you really can't be hovering. If you have done your job well, you shouldn't be hovering over your 18-year-old. If you have done your job over the year as well, you shouldn't be hovering over your 18-years-old, looking at what they're doing. And, you know, you should just be like a coach at that point. At 18, you shouldn't be actively like hovering. You should be like more like a coach and a collaborator to say, see, I don't think you should be doing this and all of that, and give them reasons for that. And I think that what you can do for a 16-year-old is to kind of like, you know, have a time where you all log off. And most of these things, you also have to be an example, especially when they're older. So you can't be telling your child you shouldn't be always on your phone, and then you yourself as a parent, you're always on your phone, right? So just to have that guidance of saying maybe by 8 p.m. or by 7 p.m., everybody just keep your phone away and let's have a family time and then go to bed and stuff like that.
Yeah. Thank you. We do have 2 questions. I think Chrissy, she unmuted earlier because she wanted to ask a question, but Brother James Iberi's hand was up first. So can we just quickly have your question? Very short, please. If it could be said.
Okay, thank you. I hope I'll make it very short. It's a little bit of comments from experience from my kids, and also leading to a question which I think we should pick on. And I don't think for the kids, their minds are not, you can't keep it idle. And it's so important to engage the child, because it's one thing to say, okay, you don't have a screen time, but what else are you doing? One of the things that I've worked for my kids is engaging them with things they enjoy that are outside the social media or the internet. So the question is, beyond just banning and putting a restriction on screen, what are the ways to engage the mind of the child, so that it's not a case where you're punishing the child, but rather the child actually delights joy in doing things that are outside the social media?
Yeah, that's a very good question. Thank you so much, James. Yeah, so life doesn't exist in vacuum. So if you have primarily engaged the children with phone and you're removing that phone, then you have to come up with alternative activities that they can engage in, right? So for me, reading, so that is something I actually groomed them, you know, on over time, right? So there are children who may not enjoy reading, but you can try that. Then another thing I did when my son was younger, because my son doesn't enjoy reading as much as my daughter does, I used audios. So I would look for podcasts, stories. There's one for kids by kids, Bible stories for kids by kids. You know, I'll look for them on podcasts, right? And I'll put it on speaker and I'll tell him to listen to the story and imagine the story. So he doesn't have to be watching it. So he would listen, and that would engage him for some time. Crafts, arts and crafts, football, outdoor activities, engaging them yourself as well. So because we did a lot of those, you know, audio stories, we don't do them as much now, but my son does a lot of imaginative play and acting, you know. So most times when he's bored, he's like acting, creating his own story in his head. You see him doing things and, you know, saying things, doing monologues and stuff like that. And then we had like a boredom jar, right, where we just write, you know, activities on papers and put them inside the jar. So because in a day, really, you can hear mommy I'm bored like 10 times, 20 times. So what we do is go and pick an activity in the boredom jar and do it. So it can be like, you know, have a coloring sheet and they color it. It can be like a craft activity, you know, and stuff like that. So it's just to look at the child in front of you. You have to keep on, you know, innovating and keep on exploring ideas and keep on researching ideas of how you can engage them. There's really no one size fits all to these things. But if your goal is to reduce screen time, then you have to be actively researching other ways to engage your children. I've just shared a few that I have used. There are many more out there that you can also explore.
Thank you very much for those gems. We are out of time for the the questions. I know that Chrissy, you wanted to ask a question. We will have the opportunity to ask more questions after the second and third speakers speak. So please don't go off yet. We will get to your question and the other questions that come up also. So I'll just hand over to Dolapo. Dr. Vivian, thank you very much once again. God bless you.
Great, thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Vivian. Right, I'll very quickly introduce the next set of speakers. So we have Chijioke Greg Egu, and he is co-founder of the Oasis Rift Entertainment. This is a business that was founded in the northeast of England and backed by the Northumbria University Graduate Entrepreneur Scheme, and just pride themselves on developing young minds and opening the door to the huge opportunities in esports by challenging stereotypes and promoting personal development. Oasis Rift Entertainment aims to empower individuals, including people from all walks of life, to help improve their circumstances through gaming. So very, very pleased to welcome Greg.
Thank you.
I'm sure Chijioke is here, but yeah, and looking forward to hearing more about gaming. Over to you, Greg.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you so much for that,
Sorry, just to
Vivian.
say there are two of them. So that's Chijioke and Obina.
And OJ.
I wasn't sure. I didn't see you. Yeah, I apologize. Yeah, hi, Chijioke.
Guys, would we be able to share our screen? Is that possible? Because it's disabled.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah. We'll give you the rights to do that now.
Thank you. Happy New Year, everyone.
Happy New Year, Greg.
You should be able to do that now, Chijioke.
I can. Can everyone see that?
Yes, I can.
Yeah.
Okay. So thank you so much again, Vivian. I learned a lot from that. I'll probably be helping my sister with my nephews when it comes to that. So we're going to talk about rethinking digital use in home. We're going to explore the positive potentials of gaming for families. OJ and I are just going to be interchanging as we go on, and we're going to try to get through it quickly. So obviously we don't waste anyone's time. So exploring the positive potential of gaming for the families. Why gaming matters for families. There's a game for everyone, from sports to puzzles, to story-driven games with thought-provoking themes, to fun arcade shooters for those seeking a thrill. There's something for everyone. And with how advanced technology is today, you don't need to have a console or a TV screen. You can dive into the world of gaming with your mobile phone. Wouldn't we all want to learn in an environment that we love? Gaming can be that environment if you know how to harness it and approach it with an open mind. Some games that fit the bill, just a couple of examples, are Overcooked. Enter the kitchen of chaos with Overcooked. It's like a culinary adventure where you and your family team up to chop, cook, and serve up delicious dishes. This game not only tests your virtual cooking skills, but also your teamwork and communication, turning your living room into a Michelin star restaurant of hilarity. Minecraft. I'm sure a couple of parents who know about this one. Step into the pixelated universe of Minecraft, where creativity knows no bounds. Build, explore, and survive together as a family. It's like having a digital family retreat, where the only limit is your imagination. Plus, crafting your own family castle. Talk about bonding with a side of blocky brilliance. FIFA. We're kicking it with the virtual football stars here. For the sporty parents, lace up those virtual boots and hit the digital pitch with FIFA. It's like hosting your own family football tournament without breaking a sweat, or maybe a little. Challenge each other to penalty shootouts, engage in friendly matches, and celebrate goals like you've just won the World Cup. It's a perfect game for a family that kicks together, scores together, and has a ball doing it.
Okay, can everyone hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. So on this slide, we're talking about building stronger bonds through play. So gaming provides opportunities for quality time, shared experiences. Games in general create an environment where teamwork and communication are key. Whether you're solving puzzles or completing adventures, you're not just playing together, you're collaborating. This helps foster a sense of unity and shared accomplishments that can translate to the real world. Gaming is also a way to showcase your skills against one another in a light-hearted and entertaining way. These moments become lasting memories, and the banter that comes along with it always adds to the fun. Games at its core are a canvas for emotions. The joy of discovering, whether it be a hidden treasure, the frustration of a challenging level, the thrill of a last-minute comeback in a FIFA match. These emotional peaks and valleys create a shared narrative for the family. It's not just about playing, it's about experiencing these highs and lows together, turning every session into a chapter in the family storybook. To add to that, collaborative gameplay offers a unique opportunity for parents to step into gaming alongside their children, which is very key in this day and age. It's a chance to share in their interests and become a part of the stories that captivate their minds. The shared joy on a child's face when their parent joins in a game is priceless. Moreover, it's also a chance for parents to witness their child's problem-solving skills, their creativity, and resilience in action. As you face challenges together, you'll see a side of your child that might not surface during everyday activities. It's a window into their world, allowing for a deeper connection and understanding.
Thank you, OJ. Now we're going to talk about unlocking cognitive skills through gaming. Cognitive and problem-solving skills. Picture this. You're facing a massive boss with fire-breathing abilities, and your brain is working overtime to figure out the best strategy. That's gaming for you, a virtual playground for critical thinking, decision-making, and strategic planning. First off, critical thinking in gaming is like having a mental gym session. Games often throw puzzles, challenges, and unexpected twists at you. It's not just about pushing buttons randomly. You've got to analyze situations, anticipate consequences, and make decisions on the fly. It's like a mental obstacle course that keeps your cognitive gears oiled and ready for action. Now, decision-making in games is a roller coaster of choices. Should you go left or right? Use the sword or the magic wand? Save the villagers or chase after the treasure? Each decision shapes your gaming experience and influences the outcome. Just like in real life, games teach us that choices matter and have consequences. It's a crash course in decision-making served with a side of adrenaline. And let's not forget the strategic planning aspect. This is very important. Ever played a game where you had to build an empire, lead an army, or conquer new lands? That's the strategic magic of gaming. You're not just thinking about the next move, you're thinking 3 steps ahead, considering resources, opponents, and possible surprises. But here's the kicker. Gaming makes all of this ridiculously fun. It disguises learning as entertainment, turning critical thinking into a thrilling adventure and decision-making into a heart-pounding quest. The joy of outsmarting an AI opponent or overcoming a seemingly impossible level is the sweet reward for your brain's hard work. Now, we're also going to talk about learning through interactive gameplay. Educational games are like the hidden gems of learning. Remember those times when your textbook felt like it was written in another language? Well, enter educational games, the superhero sidekicks that make learning an interactive and downright enjoyable experience. For the younger bunch, some games transform math problems into exciting quests, spelling challenges into epic adventures, science lessons into virtual experiments. It's like having a fun-filled carnival of knowledge right at your fingertips. The kids aren't just learning, they're practically having a blast while doing it. Now, let's talk about interactive nature of gaming. Gone are the days of snooze-worthy lectures, the era of hands-on, minds-on learning. Imagine learning history by virtually stepping into historical moments, solving mysteries with Sherlock Holmes, or exploring the universe with a click of a button. Learning becomes an experience, not just a task on the to-do list. What's truly remarkable is how gaming caters to different age groups. it's not a one-size-fits-all deal. Whether you're a wide-eyed preschooler or a seasoned adult looking to pick up new skills, there's a game out there for everyone. Games adapt to your pace, making learning personalized and, dare I say it, enjoyable. And here's another kicker. Gaming makes learning stick. Remember the catchy tune you heard on the radio that you just couldn't get out of your head? Well, educational games are just like that. They embed information in your brain through fun and engaging experiences, making it more likely to stick around for the long haul. So next time you think to yourself, gaming is just a waste of time, or rather a time-wasting hobby, remember that it is an unsung hero that makes learning stick that we should utilize with moderation. Making education not just accessible, but downright entertaining. It's not about pressing buttons, it's about pressing the play button on a brighter, more engaging way to learn. I will pass you guys over on to OJ now.
Yeah, thank you so much for that, Greg. We just got a notification that we need to somewhat fly through this, but I'll try and get through as much as possible.
Okay.
So yeah, on this slide, we're going over connecting families beyond the screen. And the first point I want to talk about is how gaming can help build family bonds. So instead of the usual board games, I think parents should consider incorporating video games that cater to all ages and interests, whether it's a friendly round of Mario Kart or cooperative adventure in Overcooked, or even a dance-off in Just Dance. There are games for every family member, and it's not just about winning or losing. It's about, experiencing these moments together, sharing the laughs, creating inside jokes, and enjoying each other's company while playing these video games. So some activities that can be integrated using gaming include gaming challenges as part of everyday activities. For example, a quick round of a puzzle game can be the reward for completing chores, tasks, and doing their homework. You could even designate a game master for the day, and this person gets to choose the games and set mini challenges for everyone else in the household. This adds to an element of surprise and turns routine, mundane tasks into engaging activities. We also have family fitness challenges, so we can consider incorporating active and motion-controlled games that gets everyone moving. Games like Wii Fit or fitness-focused VR games make exercise a fun family affair. And setting up regular family fitness challenges where each member takes turns choosing a physical activity or game. It's a great way to stay active while bonding over shared goals. Yeah, that's everything. Greg, we can move on to the next slide.
Now, we're going to talk about navigating the gaming landscape safely, because this is also important. So we're going to start off by talking about choosing age-appropriate games. Not all pixels are created equal. First off, let's talk about the rating systems. They're like the GPS for parents navigating the gaming world. ESRB, PEGI, and other acronyms might sound like secret codes, but they're just your tour guides. These rating systems break down games into age-appropriate categories, helping you pick titles that are like a perfect pair of shoes, just the right fit. For the little ones, you want to keep it cute and cuddly. Look for games with an E for everyone or 3+ rating. These are like the teddy bears of the gaming world. No scares, just warm and fuzzy. Think puzzles that are more giggle than grind. As your mini gamer levels up in age, you can graduate to the E10+ or 7+ realm. These are like the training wheels of gaming. A bit more complexity, but still wrapped in a bubble of age-appropriate content. It's a sweet spot where learning and fun collide. Now, when your young prodigy hits the double digits, T for teen or 12+ games come into play. It's like entering the teenage phase, more challenges and deeper stories. And for the older teens, mature or 17+, games are in the VIP section. It's like the red carpet of gaming with content tailored for a more mature audience, blood, sweat, tears, and maybe a sprinkle of humor that only adults get. It's all fair game. Online resources are your assistants. Websites like Common Sense Media or the Entertainment Software Rating Board, ESRB, provide reviews, details on game content, and even parental guides. It's like having a cheat code for responsible parenting in the digital age. Be the rating detective, and there should be no worries left. Now, let's tackle the online interaction worries because we all have them. Multiplayer games can be a social blast, but we want to keep it friendly, right? Talk to your young gamers about the do's and don'ts of online etiquette, just like you would before sending them off to a play date. Remind them that their favorite superheroes lift each other up and not bring each other down. But wait, there's more. Parental controls are like superhero gadgets in your utility belt. Most gaming consoles and platforms offer these gems. Set them up to control screen time, limit chat features, and even restrict certain game content. It's like putting a parental bubble wrap around the gaming experience. Now, there's no need to go full-on detective mode, just a periodic check-in to ensure everything is okay. Ask them about their gaming adventures, who their gaming buddies are, and what they're playing. It's like having a casual chat about their favorite comic book, but with more pixels. It's all about finding the right balance. Gaming can be a fantastic adventure filled with learning, fun, and friendship. With a sprinkle of communication, a dash of parental controls, and a bit of understanding, your experience will be on cruise control.
Thank you for that, Greg. After this slide, I think we should move towards the final one so that we're keeping in time. So after this particular slide, we can move towards empowering parents in the gaming journey, Greg. But let me just go through this very quickly. So on this particular slide, we're breaking down gaming misconceptions or gaming stereotypes. And I'm sure, you know, we're all familiar with a couple of them, and I will be demystifying a few. So for one, this is a standard. Gaming is a solitary and isolating activity. But in reality, many games today are designed with multiplayer features, encouraging social interaction. You know, online gaming platforms facilitate connections with friends, family, and even people around the world. Cooperative games foster teamwork, communication, creating a sense of community. Another stereotype is that gaming leads to violence and aggression. But in reality, numerous studies have failed to establish a direct link between video games and real-world violence. Research actually suggests that other factors such as the family environment and mental health play a more significant role. Gaming can actually be a way to release stress and unwind, promoting relaxation rather than aggression. Another kicker is gaming is a waste of time, but in reality, just with any form of entertainment, moderation is key. You know, and this also goes in line to what Mrs. Vivian was speaking about earlier, moderating what your kids are doing. So gaming can be a constructive and enjoyable way to relax on and unwind, but moreover, certain games, especially those with educational elements, can enhance cognitive skills and promote learning. And finally, just to round up on this particular slide, there's a need for parents and kids to have an open dialogue. Parents are going to need to be more involved with what their kids are playing, what they're getting up to. It's not just about telling them, okay, no, you can't play this, and no, you can't do that. You actually need to engage with them, understand what they're playing, understand the themes that are being discussed in these games. And like Greg discussed in the previous slide, understand the ratings of these games. So you know, okay, this particular game's age rating is suitable for my kid. You know, and you can actually dive deeper into what's going on and even find out that, okay, this game that he's playing, it's something that you might even enjoy. And both of you playing these games together is an opportunity to bond and connect on a much deeper level. Yeah, Greg, you can take over to the next slide.
Thank you for that, OJ. Due to time, I'm probably going to move ahead. There was a question that came in earlier asking about ideas of turning games into real world examples. I was going to discuss a couple of ideas, but we also thought to make a tips pack. So if anyone needs that, we'll let you guys know how to contact us so we can send that over at the end. Because we do not think it's just about sitting in front of a screen all day. There are ways you can take the fun and the joy kids get from gaming into real world and actually turn that into something productive. But I'm going to move on to the slide of empowering parents in the gaming journey. Okay, so we're going to talk about just a couple of things OSR are rolling out. So we've got the parental strats workshop. Here you basically enroll in our workshop that feels more like fun strategy classes than a lecture. These workshops will equip you with the knowledge of the gaming dynamics, online safety, and understanding age ratings. You'll also be vetted to find out what kind of gamer you are, as well as trained to challenge your kids and win. No pity parties over here. The Code of Conduct Chronicles. Dive into resources that lay out the digital code of conduct that we'll provide. Learn the rules of the gaming world and teach your little adventures about online etiquette. It's like handing them a treasure map of good gaming behavior, because politeness is the currency we strive for. Level up your tech knowledge. Explore our workshops that demystify gaming technology, from consoles to online platforms. Understanding the tech landscape will grant you the knowledge and experience to navigate the gaming universe like a seasoned vet. Digital dialogues. Here, you basically engage in our parent-teacher style conferences with gaming experts. It's like having a one-on-one chat with the game masters. These dialogues cover everything from content concerns to setting up parental controls, ensuring you're always one step ahead. And lastly, Playful Parenting Bootcamp. Join our bootcamp that transforms you into a playful parent with a gamer's heart. Learn to speak the gaming language, understand the appeal, and even participate in friendly family competitions. It's like a crash course in understanding the joy of gaming, from power-ups to game overs. And due to time, we'll move on to finding out if anyone has any questions.
Thank you so much, Chijioke and OJ. Really, really jam-packed there, and wish you had more time also. So thank you. I think we did have a question from Chrissy earlier. So Chrissy, if you would like to unmute, I do believe that question might be for Dr. Vivian, but if you would.
Yeah.
Is Chrissy still here? Okay, if Chrissy isn't available to ask her question now, the tip pack sounds great, Dare is saying. Is that something that you can tell us how we can get now, please?
So I would put our email address in the chat, and anyone that wants the tip pack should just drop us an email. Just to kind of conclude, questions are still open. I was going to basically talk about this, but I just wasn't sure how much time we have. But I just wanted to ask that, we have a positive mindset towards this thing. As Vivian said and stated, moderation is key. Gaming constantly requires the brain to work. So let's try and be more open-minded about it, but also make sure we keep some sort of control, but also make these memories with our children. I will put the email address in there for anyone that wants the tip pack. We'll be doing regular tips. We'll be sending over regular types of tips from, ways you can get invested in your kids' gaming experience to ways you can take, these experiences to the real world. We believe in something called gamification, where we think through gaming, something your kids like, you can teach them real life development and personal development as well. Things like taking responsibility, accountability, respect. These things can be taught through gaming. I'll put the email address in there. Sorry.
Yeah, and also just to add to what Greg was saying, we want everyone to know that when it comes to gaming, there is no age barrier. So even if you've never had any experience with gaming whatsoever, that is completely fine. We've tailored it in a way that it's accessible to everyone. So even if you are taking your first steps with gaming, or you have kids that are at that gaming phase and you're trying to learn more about it, so as to moderate or regulate or even help them, learn through their gaming sessions, like Dr. Vivian was saying, it's not just about it being an escape or form of entertainment. You want them to be able to play these games, consume this entertainment and learn and be like, okay, you know what? How can I learn from this? How can I take
what's the meaning of that?
Hello? Hello?
Can you just ask a question?
Yeah, sorry, I
I
didn't get the question.
I think someone asked what the meaning of something was, but I'm not sure what they were referring to. But if you just go on, that would be great.
Okay, that's fine. But yeah, just to round up, we want parents to understand that their kids can learn a lot through gaming, and the more they understand this, the more they'll be open to letting their kids actually engage in these gaming sessions and actually serve as a coach to show them how they can learn from different scenarios in these games. But yeah, that's all I have to say. Thank you very much.
And in case anyone wanted me to paint a picture, something similar happened with my nephew, because I don't have any kids of my own, so they're basically like my kids by proxy. He constantly won against his dad. I don't know if his dad was letting him or if he was just that much better. And then he played against me on FIFA. I won. I continuously won on FIFA, and he wanted to get up and throw a tantrum. I said to him, no, you have to come back and sit down and tell me why you think you're losing these games. And then he went from throwing a tantrum to starting to analyze what he was doing wrong with his team. Now, fast forward, he's going on trials. He doesn't get into the team he wants initially. My sister says, I need to speak to him, and I'm speaking to him. And we're talking about just the issues, and things he was doing that, he wouldn't have typically analyzed unless we had that previous conversation. Because while I was talking to him, I said to him, okay, so tell me, what was the reason that they said you didn't get into this initial team? How did we analyze it when we played FIFA together? And then we started having that conversation. And after talking to him, telling him parts of his game to address in real life football, he's now playing football and he's actually getting really good at it. So there's always a way to take these things into real life, but we have to make sure we know how to make that transition with gaming.
Yeah, no, thank you very much. Thank you. I know that we have a few questions, but we are short on time. I will ask one that's come up in the chat very quickly, if you can respond in 1 minute. What are some examples of games for learning in? The cooking one sounded interesting too.
Overcooked is one. So what we could do is, if anyone has any particular list of tips or things they need due to time, drop that in the email or email Auntie Joke, and she would send it over to us, and we can compile a list and some packs for you guys. Learning ones, Overcooked is stressful. Teamwork, like communication, is very important in that game. So it would help you learn to get, your communication skills are going to basically improve. They're games for analysis. So it depends on what type of games we're looking for, and what skill set we want to address. So yeah, if there's anything in particular you want to know, just drop us an email and we'll put together a pack for the different skill sets of of games to go for.
Okay, I quickly want to ask a question, if it's okay.
Okay.
All right. For those of us who are digital immigrants, we may really not have an idea. So I think, like somebody asked, if can give us some examples. I think I just list out, because I may really not know what to look out for, since I know little or nothing about the gaming, and I know that my son likes to game. So I have seen the benefits, and I would really like to learn how to do some stuff with him. So if you can actually have a list of the examples of other ones, then maybe it can help us pick what we want.
Yeah, thank you. I'll pick on that. I think thank you for that question, by the way, Fortune. So yes, I think Greg and OJ said that they were going to share a pack. For anyone that's interested in that pack, please do email info@oasisrift.com, as it's presented on the screen there, and they'll be able to send it to you. But I do believe that we'll get that list also, so we'll be able to share it with everyone that's on our email list too. So that takes me swiftly onto the announcements, which I'll quickly make. But before I make the announcements, can we all just thank our speakers today, Dr. Vivian Okoye, Greg, Chijioke, and OJ. If we can just emoji clap, but I'm clapping physically. We really do appreciate you coming today. It's been wonderful. You've dropped so many gems, and we all have a bit of research to do and more learning to do. So thank you. With the announcements, I have put something in the chat at 11:52 just to give some information as to where you can find more information on Parenting with God seminar. We've got YouTube, that's the link there. We've got Auntie Joke's blog, which is there also. We're on Facebook, we're on Instagram, and also if you would like to get email updates on what it is that we're doing, even the information that Chijioke and OJ are going to share with us, please do email info.parentingwithgod@gmail.com, and we'll get that information sent out to you.